Liam and John, any old dodgy lads in the sweepstake that are out of the Euros at this stage?
No. Although England were sweating last night, weren't they?
Sweating last night. I think we were all sweating for a bit yesterday. We're of course joined by Liam Brosnan and John Kennedy, the usual suspects on Terrace talk after a Kerry victory. Liam, we go straight into it, I suppose. Kerry into an All-Ireland semi-final. Is that the bottom line in what matters here this evening?
I think so, Ivan, yeah, definitely. And as a great man said one time, you can't start a fire without a spark. And I think this could be our spark. And I suppose the result as well Saturday night with Dublin being knocked out by a very good Galway side. I think the 4 teams now that are left in it will fancy their chances. And I think it probably gave us that little bit of an edge as well, to come into the game Sunday with Dublin gone out of it, because Dublin in the last few years have a bit of a hex over us, whereas now we see a pathway to the final. We're 70 minutes away from the final. Armagh are sitting there, they're thinking the same way. But no, I'd be I was happy enough with Kerry yesterday, because the Derry team put up a wall, we were expecting, and it was unusual because last year they did the opposite. They went at us, and it's amazing how Derry have regressed so much in the last 12 months. No, we thought we were going to be in for a humdinger of a game. They were going to come at us because they have the players, but it was a very slow, ponderous kind of a game. But to be fair to Kerry, they didn't buy into anything. They were cautious. I know it's not a game for the purists or the people enjoying it. They're not to sit to watch a game of football. But to be fair, Jack O'Connor and the management aren't there to put bums on seats. They're there to get results, whatever way it is to get across the line. And I think Jack and the boys, they ticked the box yesterday, and the players themselves, like I said, the first half, 6-all at half time, we were wondering, is this suiting Derry? But we seemed to have wore them down, and then with 10 minutes to go, we were up to 3 points. They didn't have the legs to come at us, and then what was very, very impressive for us was our bench. No, it really pushed us over the line, and I think that's a big bonus heading into the Armagh game, that we have that in our tool belt now as well.
John, was it maybe the sort of game that Kerry needed? I think, we were chatting, obviously came through Munster relatively unscathed. Maybe the Cork game was a good test. Group stages, safe to say, no major test for Kerry. So when the Derry draw came, it was kind of an unknown during the week, all the different preview pieces. Nobody was giving all their money on one side of the draw on this one. Was it the sort of game that Kerry needed at this stage of the competition?
Yeah, I think so, Ivan. That we needed a real test of character, and we knew what Derry were going to do, but they did it, and they did it more emphatically, I suppose, in the defensive setup. It was, it's not nice to the eye. People up there were disgruntled. Yeah. Everybody wants to see an open game of football, something similar to Dublin and Galway on Saturday night, but that's not going to happen. Derry parked the bus, and how we adapt and how we took the game in patience. We didn't force anything. It was all about getting to the semi-final, which we did, and I'd agree with Liam. I think the bench played a big part, particularly Killian Burke. I think he ran at the defence. He took them on. He was really up for it, and he was taken up by Conor Glass. He didn't care, I say, who he was on. He wanted to send out a message. Did a great job. Dylan Gainey got a point. Killian Spillane got a point. And I think the last 15 minutes, that was the difference. Derry had nobody to come in to make that impact. And the patience game paid off. But what a horrible game to watch. It was terrible. I think that was the on the way down last night, stopping for something to eat, it was the common denominator by everybody, the terrible game it was. Now we're in an All-Ireland semi-final, and like Liam said, the 4 teams in it will fancy their chances, in different ways. But for us, came through without an injury. That massive swarm defence. How many times do we see it that there was nobody, Parsha and Ryan, inside our own half, inside the middle of the field? But look, we ground it down, and we did it with some of our marquee players not playing up to their usual standard, which is always good, because there's a bit of room for improvement.
There's other players that come in and kind of, when players are being marked out of it, I suppose there's players that can always come in and show on another day, but in a different position. Liam, I suppose physically, it was kind of a game where people had a lot of time on the ball, so it wasn't one of your big hard-hitting ones. But mentally, you know, that resilience to break down Derry, it took till, what do we say, the 55th minute to go that 3 or 4 points ahead. Like, that kind of mental resilience of a game, that's what Kerry needed as well.
It was, yeah. And we've seen that down through the years with Dublin. You know, Dublin were the masters at it, playing better than what Derry were, you know. But Kerry were, the one thing it shows now, and I think it puts a kind of a thing out there as well to the Derry and or to the Armaghs and the Donegals and these teams, that we can play against these systems as well, that we don't have to, that we can win ugly, basically. And I think Jack and the boys did that yesterday. You know, we didn't have to be kicking in fabulous balls and bouncing balls into David Clifford. No, we like John said, we grounded out. You know, it was a pity, because I was hoping that Derry would really just go at it, because I think for a team to win in All Ireland, or to be there and thereabouts, you've got to take chances. And if you don't take chances, and Derry took no chances yesterday, even with 7 or 8 minutes to go, we were up 3 points. Glass was still playing as a sweeper, and we were playing the ball over and back to midfield as if it was just coming up to half time. No, there was no kind of, I don't know, there's something wrong up there anyway. And I think the next couple of months will be interesting with the stories that come out of there. But look, Kerry did what they had to do. I thought we had great performances. Brino Begley was excellent. I thought Killian, Paul Murphy as well, you know, had a very solid game back there. You know, and it just shows the way football has gone. I was just looking at it there today. Out of the 4 matches, the three man of the matches were wing backs. You know, so it's a vital position now with the teams tacking. We saw yesterday where our full back line was inside the full forward line more times than they were back. No, it's and you know, I was thinking about it today, and there was a couple of years ago we were looking at Dublin and they're pulling the gooch up out of the position and bringing them back, you know, and we were praising Dublin with that kind of a tactic. But you know, I was listening to fellas then saying, sure, it's a disgrace that Jason Foley's up there, but he was taking McGuigan up. McGuigan was playing was away from goal, so that was their main danger gone as well. So hats off to Kerry. I know it wasn't pretty, but they got over the line, and like that, quarterfinals are there to be won.
Yeah, I was actually looking at the examiners here in front of me. I was looking earlier on, and the headline was "Show Defiance," and O'Connor insists Kerry ready to play on any terms. I couldn't really sum up the game truer. It's probably played it to Derry's terms maybe in the first half, but Kerry showed their kind of, again, that mental resilience to overcome it, didn't they?
There's no doubt about it, and in fairness, they were prepared for that, because this thing it's not a switch you can turn, but you could see the way the players on the field adapted to the situation they were in. They were very patient. They didn't give away the ball. They recycled it. Do people like it? No, but it's effective. They beat Derry at their own game. And I'd add to what Liam said there about our defence. You know, apart from 1 point from Paul Cassidy, the wing forward, you know, Ethan Doherty, McFall, Lachlan Murray and Mulholland, none of them scored.
Yeah.
Shane McGuigan, I think he kicked 3 points from play. Like, that says about our defence. Very disciplined. There was only two frees I think he scored. So very disciplined in an area where there was a lot of bodies, where there could have been a lot of hitting and a lot of fouling. No, very disciplined and played to the game plan and executed it very well. But I think I'd agree with what you said. I think we adapted to the plan that was there, and we came out victorious in the end. And I thought we used our bench very well. Brian O'Beglick in particular, he played it wide. He was hugging the Hogan stand sideline in the second half. He made inroads in there. He was an outlet. Tony Brosnan on the other side. You know, I think our game plan was good. And like Liam said, Tyg Marley and Jason Foley were above in the full forward line at times, but their men were with him. So they weren't going to score up there. So, you know, very effective. We got over the line, and we're in the All-Ireland semi-final.
Like, Ivan, you look at Derry there, right? Derry are All-Ireland club champions. They're National League champions. They won the minors last year. They're in the minor final this year. So the players are there. But if they're going to rely on playing that kind of football, it'll be a long time before they see Sam Maguire.
But isn't it again a showing of Kerry to be able to, you know, to come down to that level, let's say that sort of football that, you know, none of us enjoy watching, which is fair to say. But, you know, when it comes to Kerry, that ability to be able to change, Armagh game could be completely different. It could be 25 points apiece, and we always hope that there'll be a fantastic game of football. But it goes to show, like, football in 2024, how the modern era has come along and how we've seen that kind of northern defensive game come up, that Kerry are able to adapt. It's a good positive to see, in a way, in a day of negatives. It's good to see a positive that Kerry are able to adapt their style of play to what's against them as well.
It is, yeah. And look, we know it's a hard watch. And if you were sitting beside any of the, as you said, the old GA supporters, they don't like watching it. And look, none of us like watching it. But like I said at the start, Jack O'Connor's not here. It's not like Jürgen Klopp and these fellas who want to play expensive football the way they fill the stadiums and stuff like. Jack O'Connor didn't care if there was 10 people there yesterday. If there was 20 people there. It's the GA's problem that the product isn't good. It's not Jack O'Connor's problem. Mm-hmm. So Jack O'Connor came out and he just matched up a plan. He knew what was coming against him, and they never panicked. Whereas on the other side of it, for years we've played great games of football and we've kicked balls into positions where we shouldn't have kicked, forced things, and we never got over the line. Whereas yesterday, I would say hats off to them, because they did what they had to do to beat Derry. Armagh will be something similar, but I think Armagh are that little bit more dangerous than Derry this year. They have the good forwards, they have a good structure. I know you have the Kerry factor and stuff like that, but even besides the Kerry factor with Donaghy and everything, the teams know each other very well anyway at this stage.
Yeah, that adaptation though to that style. To win in All-Ireland, you're going to come across a game like this now nearly every year. And we've seen it over the last couple of years. A game like this is going to come along. And again, as you say, it's not pretty on the eye. But for Kerry to go on and win All-Ireland, you have to be able to adapt to that game now, don't you?
You do, yeah. And we've Armagh next, and you could have Donegal hopefully in a final. So you might have to win in All-Ireland playing that way, But yeah, you're spot on. It's the way the game has gone, but it's the GA's problem. It's not Kerry's problem. I think if we're sitting here in the end of July with Sam Maguire, whether we won the game by 5 points to 6 or whatever, we'll be happy. But like I said, the GA will have to sort it out, and I think it's proven, the figures with people watching it, and the general consensus of the whole thing is that there's something that has to be done with it.
But I think if you look at it, Ivan, the league football and we'll say the Munster, the provincial championships, they have no real bearing when it comes to the last 8. And Derry were league champions, as you said. Galway were lucky to survive, but they had a skeleton squad. And like Liam said, hopefully Donegal will have a big say in this championship, I think. They show that against Dublin.
They can get their injuries right.
Yeah. And their marquee players right. But it's certainly a serious problem for the GA, not for Kerry, not for Jack O'Connor, not for Patrick Joyce or McGeaney or Jim McGuinness. It's a problem for the GA to sort it out, and I think we've great people involved in that rules committee now, but it has to be done, and it has to be done fast, because people will not go to see that type of football. We're not talking about Kerry winning now here. We're talking about the football that's being played. The product is there. An exception was Dublin and Galway. You'll get exceptions, but to sit down for 70 odd minutes watching that yesterday, delighted at the end results, getting up and coming home, but what a bore, terrible stuff.
What did the GA need to? We may stick on this point, because it is the talking point in offices, I'd imagine, in Kerry all day. What did the GA need to? We've seen this outside the arc 2 points. We've seen various different rules that are being introduced, and there's county players from teams that are out of the Tailteann Cup and they're coming on to these different places. We've heard all this in the news the last couple of weeks. Is that what needs to be done here? What can you do to change it? It's not going to change overnight, and if Derry can go on and win All Ireland playing that sort of football, they're not going to complain, a bit like as you say ourselves. So what did the G actually need to do to say, look, there's something wrong here, the product isn't right? Yeah,
well, I suppose, look, what we'd all like to see, and we've discussed this many an evening, going back to John's time and even my time after, one-on-one football. And at the moment, there's no one-on-one football, because it's you kick the ball into David Clifford, there's 4 and 5 fellas around him, and next thing we're coming up the field. So I think that's the biggest problem. They can have these 2-pointers and they can have all this, but they need to get the bodies, or some sort of a rule that you can't have 15 bodies behind the ball. And there's only one way you can do that you have to have 3 or 4 players inside your own half at all times. Yep. Because I think that's the only way it's going to liven up football. Because even this mark, I know this new rule that they have with the mark, that you can take the mark, but you can go for a goal, but if not, you can come back again. Yeah. I saw a couple of marks now this weekend where fellas just put up their hand, whereas if the mark wasn't there, they were taking on their man and they were going for a goal, which is exciting to watch. Whereas now, and none of us like it, but it's a handy way of getting a score. But it's taken away the spectacle of football, because you're taking away that one-on-one attacking football. And I think that's the main thing. We'd all like to see one-on-one attacking football. We don't want to see mass defences. Like, wouldn't we love to see the likes of David Clifford or even McGuigan and these very good footballers taking on fellas one-on-one, and Shane Welsh and all these guys, Yeah.
But I think, like, to me, the mark was brought in for something like what David Clifford did yesterday. Went up with 2 men, pulled down the ball. That's what was high fielding. The odds against him, not a punt kick from outside the 45 like a pass
into fella's chest,
down low into that's not what the mark was brought in for. But it's certainly, it's a crowding out, and like Liam said, how are you going to do it then? There's enough of pressure on referees. How many is inside? That's another issue, but it has to be done. The short kick out is another problem.
It is, yeah.
There's no ball out to the middle of the field. Midfielders are box to box players now, rather than winning in the middle of the field. How many times do we see high fielding? It's gone because the kick out is not going to the middle of the field. So it's about having so many players inside your own 45, because it looks ridiculous. If somebody that didn't know about the game and looked at the games now, they're all inside 145, apart from the goalie. And in Derry's point of view with Lynch, he's up there as well, so there's nobody back.
And you see, they have this rule of this 2 point. I don't think that's going to, they're going to bring it, because what's going to happen is just like basketball. If I know John can't shoot, I'm not going to mark him anyway, so I'm going to stay back. So there's a lot, we all know fellas in the team that are not going to kick from 40 yards out. And we know, so if John's not going to kick the ball from 40, I'm going to leave him out there, and I'm going to stay crowding back in the defence. So that's not going to pull bodies out either. So I do think the rule of keeping 4 or 5 players inside their own half, and it's very easy. We have linesmen. Like, they can do it in the soccer. They can wave the flag for offside, or if there's a foul, like, why can't the GA referee do it? So it's.
I watch a bit of Aussie rules. I'm not an expert on it, but I like watching on a Saturday morning from Australia, and how the mark works. It works well in the game. I don't know how much of the Aussie rules you watch, but it's kind of done so quickly. But the mark now is like you almost won a free. It's like you went up for the ball and you got dragged down, and you have to take it if you're not the free taker, but You've so much time on the ball, it seems to slow it down. But Aussie rules, it's snappy, it's quick. The mark rule is there probably for a reason, but it just doesn't seem to be implemented right, I don't think.
Yeah, and I suppose the mark in Gaelic football is nearly in a scoring position. So any fella that takes a mark is going to have a shot at goals. Whereas the Aussies, you can have it all over the field. But I just think that it's taken away the mindset of the forward. When he gets the ball, the first thing he's thinking of now is taking a mark. Whereas a good forward before, the first thing he was doing was winning the ball, taking his man on and going for goals. That's gone from the psyche of a forward now, really, because he wants the handy kick. No.
Do you introduce something then where it's sort of a case of where you take your mark, you have 3 seconds, if you're very close to goal, these footballers are going to kick it over the bar. Do you kind of have a mark, kick it, and we're gone again, and if it's a point, it's a point, and if he's has to think about it too much, it's not going to be a score.
Yeah, well, I think that's what they're trying to do with this rule, that you can get the mark, but they'll allow you play, but if nothing comes out of it, you can bring it back. Now, that's tough in the defence now as well, to be honest.
It is.
So I can catch a mark here, but I can still go for goal, and if I don't get the goal, then I still have my mark. That's kind of...
For the spectator, I suppose, really, what they want is long range kicking, high fielding, fellas running. Like you look at the Donegal Lout game yesterday, Padder Morgan, Ryan McHugh.
Yeah.
Cutting through the defence. Like Morgan took off one time, it was like going into turbo. He just left 2 or 3 players, went through and kicked a great score. I think 1-9 the Donegal defence scored yesterday.
Yeah. He kicked 5 points.
He kicked 5 points. But it ignites the crowd. And Lout were a bit naive in that they hadn't a packed defence, and it's difficult enough. You need a huge level of fitness to do it. Derry had that level of fitness, but it's about when you go to see a match now. There's speaking to people yesterday, huge expense. Going up the country, car, tickets, food, whatever, and you want to see a decent game. And we're kind of gone off this thing of talking about Kerry's display or how negative Derry were, but it's about winning ultimately. But it's nice to get a good game, and a bit of satisfaction talking about the great scores.
Yeah.
It would be very easy to talk about the great scores in the Kerry game yesterday, because they were ground out rather than individual brilliance or somebody executing. So like it's like they're in straitjackets now, players. And they'll go so far, they'll turn back. They don't want to give away possession. That patience game, zonal, hold it, give it back to the keeper, and eventually hope there'll be a mistake made by the defence and you'll get the score. But look, I thought it was refreshing when Killian Burke came on. He took on the defence. I liked it. He was aggressive. He took it on. Killian Spillane, the old style mentality, he got half a chance. He went for it.
We said that the week before.
We said that, exactly.
We were on about the binge, the Kerry binge. But Killian, and we've all, anyone that follows the county leagues and county championships, know what Killian can offer, knows what Tony Brosnan can offer, know all these fellas. And when Killian gets the ball, his first instinct is to score. And it was great to see him come on yesterday and kick, because dim points, if you think back to last year when Stephen O'Brien came on, where he got a couple of frees. He did actually the exact same thing that Killian Burke did. He won a couple of frees, he kicked the point, and it got us over the line. And we did the same now yesterday. Even young Gainey, when he came on as well, looked fresh, and no fear, went that for let's draw the free. Draw the free, and
he won a ball back in the half-back line, right, and he was gone. And the fella stand, he was gone to get the return. When the chance came, he cut in. And, he made sure he kicked it out of the bar. It was the insurance point. It was put his 4 up. And then I think Gavin White fisted to put his 5. But, that was great to see. But you have to give the Kerry management credit for the timing and the lads they did bring on. Because how many thought that Dylan Gainey would come on with 15 or 10 minutes to go? No, but he did. So, obviously, this is coming from the training ground. And fair play. Look, they all played a part. It shows we have options, and we'll need him down the road.
Absolutely. Time for us to take a quick break. We might chat a bit more on Derry and their disappointing championship after this. Yeah, you're welcome back to Terrace Talk. It's Ivan in for Dawn this evening. We're in the middle of dissecting Kerry's win over Derry yesterday to book that semi-final place against Armagh in the last 4. Plenty of texts coming in. Do keep the calls and texts coming in. It's 066 712 666. Keen's on the phones, and you can text or WhatsApp 083 300 300. John, Derry, I mean, we saw them in Tralee early year, January, February, looked decent, won the league, came into the championship as one of the favourites with Dublin. Both favourites now out of it. They had a very disappointing championship.
Yeah, terrible championship, Ivan. And, going back to that league game, Liam and myself were up in the Terrace that night, and the rumour was out there that the lads were there. When they came out in the field, the Glen boys were there, and then they started. And you'd have to question the wisdom of Mickey Hart and the management team, because literally 5 days after, they were down in Tralee.
Yeah.
After winning an All-Ireland club, long season ahead, and key players for Derry. You just, and they won the league, which was fair enough, beat Dublin, and, people were saying, if they continued, they're one of the favourites for the championship. But it was a lot of rumours, and we are not in any position to verify or to deny the rumours, but certainly, while they beat Westmeath, got over Mayo, they didn't go to play football yesterday, and that's not the Derry style. They have such talent. We've said it about Armagh on a number of times. Armagh tend to be very defensive. They've changed that and they're attacking more. But they'll be hugely disappointed. Very proud county. And I think last night in the Sunday game, Sean Cavan illustrated very well about the talent that they do have. The minors, the under-20s, All-Ireland club champions, and losing 4 games after yesterday in the championship. It's not good.
Far from the end of the road for Derry, though, Liam. They'll be there and thereabouts.
They'll be there and thereabouts. Whether Mickey Hart will be there is another thing. Yeah. Like Chance, with all the conspiracy theories that are flying around the place. But it never, it was an appointment. It was an appointment that never went down well from day one. I don't know, is it because it's so close to Tyrone, but it never went down well up there, and it never went down well in Tyrone either. So, and then I suppose when things happen then, and when the wheels come off the cart a small bit, it probably festers, and I think that's what happened. There was a lot of, I'd say, in-house stuff, and you could see from their performances, like John was on about the 2 boys playing the night here in Tralee. a good manager would have said, I know players will want to play it, they'll be mad to play. They're coming off winning in Ireland, they want to go again. But a good manager would have said, lads, he can come down, but you're not playing. We'll want you as the year goes on and stuff like that. But no, they got out of the you could say the line very quick, and they seemed to fade as time went on. And they got, but yesterday, compared to what the Derry team we played last year in the semi-final, it was chalk and cheese. Although after 30 seconds was it when McKinless went through.
Yeah.
Now you would say, right, this is the same as last year. Like, they're going to come at us, and then all of a sudden on the kick out they just turn around and run backwards. When you see that actually, and any team, whether it's club or county, when you see a team turning around and running backwards, you know this is going to be a long day. And like we said, if you want to win in Ireland or win anything, you got to take chances and you got to go at. Like, I don't think any team that doesn't take chances against Kerry or the likes of like Galway took chances against Dublin the weekend, and you have to take chances. You're going to get opportunities and you take them, but if you're going to stand behind the ball and you're going to be hoping that Kerry will miss, and like the likes of Kerry don't miss too much, no matter what kind of players they have, down through the years, so it was. But look, I suppose the writing was on the wall with the games they had lost coming up to it. They weren't going well. They were after losing 3 games, and it was, I suppose, like I said, the writing was on the wall there for them.
The form line was poor, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Yeah.
And like going back to Mickey Hart and that, you're spot on what you said about the in both counties. It didn't get universal approval.
No.
But like Mickey Hart wanted to make a statement, I presume, and win the National League was one of the statements. And I think that's why he played his strongest team. He didn't rest them. And I think it probably backfired in the end because, something did happen between the league final and the Ulster Championship.
Yeah.
And there's rumours about training camps and so on and so forth. They'll always be there. But the answer is on the field of play. And they didn't produce it. And, it came down to the last group game against Westmeath for Derry to stay in the championship, having lost the 2 previous. Like, that wasn't Derry's true form.
No. But did winning the league take a small bit of pressure off Mickey Hart? You'd say he probably went in high pressure environment from both at home in Tyrone and in Derry, came down and beat Kerry in Tralee and went on to win the league. The Derry supporters and everything must have been absolutely delighted heading in, towards this group stage campaign. It obviously went downhill from there, even with Ulster. Did that kind of league win probably give him some bit of comfort in the job going into the championship that obviously ended up backfiring then?
There's no doubt, like, he had silverware, and he was going in, obviously the panel and the team were going in, high hopes. They had the ingredients. Like 3 months ago, we were speaking about Derry as contenders to beat Dublin.
Next to Dublin, yeah.
And take the Sam Maguire, even beyond Kerry.
Yeah.
And but it didn't materialise. But it just goes to show, like, that, it's about timing your run. And, the top teams and top managers do it so well. And we have one of them in Jack, in that they get it right. And on the big day that they're ready, Dublin have done it as well. And, Pádraig Joyce is coming close to that now, because he's getting his players back. He showed fierce patience. And, getting over Dublin was a huge one for him. But huge disappointment in Derry. Speaking to a few of their supporters on their way out yesterday, just disillusioned. The blame game comes in then. Like we all know, we've been in that position. When you lose, you blame the management team.
All the stories come out then.
And all the stories, and it gets it's exaggerated in every way. But at the end of the day, look, they're narrow lines. If McKinless' shot in the first couple of minutes had gone into the corner of the net, it could have been a different game. With 10 or 15 minutes to go, they forced 1 or 2 passes that went astray. We didn't do that. We showed fierce composure. Our passes were right. Our shot selection was very good, even though we had 1 or 2 that didn't. Shane Ryan had a shot. Joe Connor Dermot Connor had one into the goalie. But generally our shot selection was very good, and we did get the match-winning scores. I mean, we kicked 5 great points to beat them at the end.
Yeah, but they put no pressure on us until we came within the 45. Yeah. So, they never tried to wear us out or never tried, to. But yeah, they marked our key players. They were marking our key players, and that's what we've been saying all along, is that we need the likes of the Brino Begleys, the Gavin Whites, the Joe Connors popping up with scores. Tony Brosnan again. And that's there now in Kerry's armour now as well this year. If Armagh do the same thing, right. David's going to take a certain amount of attention, but there's other guys there now that can chip in with scores. And I think that was vital, whereas we probably didn't have that last year, John.
We didn't. No.
There's more responsibility spread out around all the players now in the scoring wise. No, but like Paul Murphy's one that he hit the post that time. Actually, I think the two fellas that got the next kick was Tig Morley and there were two defenders anyway. There were two defenders that were inside the full foul line. No, last year. So Kerry have diversified. No, not pretty in the eye, but we seem to be kind of we're learning, and we're learning through the system that the way football is being played now. We know that it can't be champagne stuff the whole time, and I think I think the Kerry supporters might have to be that little bit patient as well.
Yeah.
You know, because like that we want Sam Maguire and Jack O'Connor wants Sam Maguire and the players want, and you have to go through these, I suppose, to win it.
Absolutely, and as you say, I think if we've Sam Maguire this night, whatever it is, 5-6 weeks away down Denny Street or in Fitzgerald Stadium in Clarny, no one's going to look back and remember the Derry quarter-final in Croke Park that Kerry won by 5 points.
Exactly, it'll be all forgotten about.
Back to Derry, that resurgence through the leagues has been huge. Was this Division 4 to Division 1 champions within 5 seasons? I think I'm right in that one. That's huge for any county, especially in Ulster County. You know how competitive Ulster is. So, like, as I say, the club game's going good, underage is going good. That Derry team is far from gone away.
Oh, far from gone away. And like the club football in Derry has been very strong. You know, Schlockneil and the Glen coming through there, you know, in particular to name two. But it was an amazing transformation to go from 4 right up to 1. And, you know, Rory Gallagher and the guys before him, they did great work in that.
They were playing attacking football.
They didn't play
attacking football this year.
No, it went back and it was negative, you know, stopping the opposition playing, inhibiting players with natural flair, you know, to play the game they're good at.
There was a lot of off the ball stuff now yesterday that we'd probably see with another county. We won't mention it, but another county not too far away from Derry that we would have seen, you know, stuff there was no need for. And you know, Derry didn't do that last year.
No, and you'll I'd never mind being beaten by a better team, but when there's cynicism and when there's off the ball stuff, and like, you know, Kerry probably do it as well at different times. You know, there's no team without these guys, and you need them. You need to play on the edge, but Derry, you know, that's not typical Derry.
No.
And I think, you know, there's a frustration in their supporters because of that. And, you know, the game was in the melting pot yesterday. Derry didn't go after it.
They didn't want to win it.
They didn't.
No.
They didn't go after it.
Couple of comments, we'll try to get through them. The sheets are stacking up. Good evening, I have a question for the lads. What do our 4 semi-finalists, Kerry, Donegal, Armagh and Galway, all have in common in this year's championship? We'll leave you ponder that one over an ad break shortly. Hi, Ivan, it's terrible to see so much pulling and dragging off the ball. You just have to touch on that. David Clifford was the one being targeted yesterday. It's not tolerated in other sports, and why does it continue in Gaelic football? Booking both players isn't the obvious one, as the instigator is not a solution. That's from Charles. Yeah, easy enough to agree. I think there was a lot of bits off the ball, and you know, it is right. Gaelic Games is a name for this now at the moment, and it's very hard to figure out a solution to it, isn't it?
It is, and look, I've stood beside the post a lot, and usually what happens, Ivan, right, is if John's marking me and he's a defender and John hits me a poke, my first reaction is to poke him back then. You know, so if you're an umpire or someone watching it, it's a case of the two of them are at it. Because John's after hitting me, I'm after hitting John back and stuff. So I know it's very hard for the likes of Dave and these fellas who get that much attention. You know, when you get a belt, you are going to turn around and you're going to stand up for yourself, or somebody's going to stand up for. So it's, and you could see usually, you know, I think one of the incidents yesterday when David got the yellow card, like, he was completely being provoked, you know, stuff like that. It was harsh, all right, because you could see that it was all Derry that were doing the instigating of it. But he came in and he booked. But I can see what the umpires were saying there. The two of them are at it.
Yeah.
You know, so the referee is going to go out and he's going to give 2 yellow cards. It can be an easy way out of it for the umpires and the referee. But that's usually what happens. Like the corner back gives the corner forward a dig. Next, all of a sudden the corner forward turns around and digs him back, and then the two of them are at it. You know?
And it's kind of a perspective thing as well, because it might flash in the TV, so they're not going to get the first side of it. So they're going to flash it in the telly if there's two players, you know, grappling on the ground or whatever it is. And even there, you often don't notice these things till after it's happened, so you don't know who's after starting it. And lads just get caught up each other. But it's kind of, I kind of think a lot of times it's temper of the moment. You see it locally, even, you know, it's fellas who might be as quiet as a mouse off the pitch, but when you get going, there's always something in the game. Evening, lads, I've no doubt you get a ton of negative comments this evening about the game, but supporters need to realise that Kerry have learned the hard way how to play against teams like Derry. If supporters want free-flowing football, they should remember Tyrone in 2021. I think Kerry are in a good place. Brino Biogli is Kerry's Player of the Year. That's from Neil in County Meath. I think we've touched on that already, in the fact of, you know, there is going to be some sort of negativity around it this evening, but at the end of the day, they have learned the hard way to play against the likes of Derry. I think we've established that one, and thanks to Neil for getting in touch. Kerry did very well yesterday, handling the situation that was put in front of them. It's not about entertainment for Jack, it's about winning. They control the game. That's Dennis and Clarny. Couldn't agree with Liam any more on that. It's about time the linesmen and umpires brought the situation with David Clifford has to take notice to the ref. It's I suppose the officials, you're used to standing on the umpire as well. There's so many officials now around the matches. You've got a fourth official with the board, you've your two linesmen, you've your four umpires as a referee. You know, some things do all go unnoticed, and that's just natural to happen. But to be fair, I think in recent times it has gotten a lot better with umpires are able to talk to the referee. There's radio systems or whatever is in place now. Definitely bringing this to the attention of the referee is definitely there now, isn't it?
Oh, it definitely is. And you know, you'd have to say, I suppose, while there was negativity by Derry, there was nothing really dangerous.
No.
You know, there was a lot of handbag stuff and pulling, and the one that was you mentioned about David, like how he got booked. You know, he shouldn't have been booked, but like Liam said, you know, when you retaliate, you will. But I think that generally it has improved, and the linesmen, Liam has often said this about the linesmen and the umpires. I think they need to have that option to call the ref, because the ref can only see what's in front of him, he cannot see what's behind. But certainly to agree with you, Ivan, I think it has improved, and there's no place for that. You know, hard hitting and confrontational stuff is fine, but when you go over the line, it has to be cut out. For young people watching the game, that's not nice. We want to see our best players expressing themselves. In Kerry, David Clifford, Shawnee Shea. When you go, you know, Shane Welsh, Comer for Galway. You can go Campbell and Rory Grogan and O'Neill for Armagh, Donegal, you know, Gallen, McHughes, all these guys. You want to see them playing, and if they beat you playing the game the proper way. But negativity and sinister stuff, you know, it's not nice, and it has to be stamped out.
But on that as well, Ivan, like in Crow Park and these places, all the games are video. I think for big calls, the minor hurling match now, and I just saw clips of the thing, like, you know, the two boys that were sent off, no, there should have been a kind of a VAR system that you can go for big calls like that in big games. The technology is out there, everything is out there. Why can't we do it? No, it's going to be sitting here and blaming the referee and blaming the umpire, but we have technology, dude. Like, everything happens so quick, and everything is, and it's just one look for 20 seconds. And actually, it adds to the game a small bit. I think people say, it'll slow it down. I think it'll add to the bit of excitement, you know, with the whole thing. But I think the call needs to be right, you know, for the players, for the county, you know, for everything. You know, get the call right, especially for big calls, especially anything for red cards or anything dirty or malicious like that. They need to be got right.
And I think the call on the Roscommon midfielder Saturday evening, like,
that was,
first one was a frontal one, in fairness, but the second one, it was just a little bit off
momentum and the whole lot,
and you know, a huge call, and you know, Roscommon will be thinking, what if?
Yeah, but as you say, we have that advantage of home of seeing these things. See it slowed down.
Exactly.
You know, people have to realise that when we're watching at home as well. We have the gift of technology that the referee doesn't. Who'd want to be a referee, as they say? But tough job. But in fairness, it's one that, you know, there's plenty of fantastic referees in the country as well, and you have to say that. So we go for a quick break. We'll come back. We'll chat about the other 3 quarter-finals and a few more bits and pieces to tidy up before the lads head away.
Terrace Talk on Radio Kerry, brought to you in association with Meadowlands Hotel Tralee, where being local means coming home.
It is the whistle! Galway have won! It's the greatest day that Galway football has seen in over 2 decades. And every man, woman and child stands to applaud Pádraig Joyce and his gallant Galway men. Sweet Mother of Jesus, they have pulled off the unthinkable. Forget about Taylor Swift. Shake it off in the Aviva and come over here to Croke Park, because you're witnessing the West Awake. Gallev Abu.
Yeah, the fantastic Ollie Turner in our friends in Galway Bay FM describing that 1-point win over Dublin on Saturday evening. Liam, I think a lot of us might have been feeling like that inside, and it was absolutely nothing against Dublin, but you always want to see some bit of an underdog coming up, and nobody had given Galway a chance.
No, not with the injuries and everything that they had, and you could hear the passion in Ollie's voice there. And like you said off here, we have our own two boys that have them moments as well, and it's great. Local radio is fantastic like that, and it really painted the picture, and Taylor Swift over the wall, you could say, down below, and he brought everything into it, which is fantastic. But hats off to Galway, what a performance. Never gave up. Kept chirping away, and kept hitting, and the only thing, Dublin must be kicking themselves, because especially Desi Farrell, because he got his team inside out really. He started, fellas, he shouldn't have started, and it shows the bench is so important now to get a kick off the bench to finish out a game. I know you got to start well, but it's nearly more important now to finish well, because like when Dublin had nothing when they came off. Like I saw Tom Lahif coming up underneath the Cusack, and he turned the ball over, and like if that was McCaffrey that came on instead of him, there was no turnover. And Mannion, but then you're looking at McCaffrey and Mannion after being taken off. I just think, even though we can see Dublin were they were fading in the last 12 months. You could see they were coming closer to the pack the whole time. But definitely, I do think Desi's probably thinking, what if I did this and what if I did that? But that's always the case when you lose a match. There's a lot of what ifs. But hats off to Galway. For I think Padraig Joyce hasn't had a full proper team all year. And the fellas that he has brought on have really stood up to the plate. And even when you see Shane Welch going off, you're going to say, sure, this is going to be Dublin's now.
Yeah.
They just kicked on better again.
I was listening I was home from work here on Saturday. I had it on the radio, and they were saying that Galway there was no urgency about them. They were, second to every ball. They weren't tracking men. By the sound of the radio, I was listening going home. I was wondering was I even going to turn on the game when I got home after work on Saturday evening here. The second half performance from Galway was right up there. Maybe the first half they were a bit, as I say, behind their men in the first half. But the second half they really kicked on. Yeah,
they kicked on. They got great scores, and their leaders came into John Maher, Cillian McDade, Shane Walsh, Comer. These guys, they played so well. But the two wing backs were outstanding. They were really brilliant. They attacked. They took the game on. The substitutes they used, Johnny Heaney coming in, kicked a great score, probably their player of the league, a very honest player. And then Tom O'Callaghan, who had missed the chance to put Galway top of the table in the group. He got, I suppose, the way Comer, it was a mistake from Dublin, first of all, let Hif ball, it just went over the fingers of James McCarthy, and it came to Comer. Another guy would have gone, maybe he hadn't the fitness to go, it was near the end, hadn't that game time, but he waited for Tom O'Callaghan, and definitely that's leadership qualities. It had to be gone through his head. He missed the vital one a week or two beforehand, but he kicked a great score, and you would have to be delighted. Two things. Dublin have been unreal champions. We've probably seen some of the greatest players of all time, and they owe nothing to the GA to Dublin. If they go, they're a huge loss association. They were leaders on and off the field, and they were sportsmen. They played on the edge, a lot of them, but what they've given and what value. You always got a game of football against Dublin because they played it open. It was like playing Brazil in soccer. They'd outscore you. That was their mentality. But if they do go, hands off to them and say, enjoy their retirement, because from Cluxton out, they've been superb for the game, and there'll be huge loss to Dublin, very difficult to replace. What does Desi do? Does he go? That remains to be seen. But for Padraig Joyce, he could have been critical and he could have been making excuses throughout the league. He never made an excuse. He got on with it. He brought in new guys, but he knew if he got his squad back. And I listened to Cillian McDade's interview. They believed in themselves.
And they fear no one.
And they feared nobody. Yeah. And they did it. And the bench came on and made a huge impact. And Galway, they play that brand of football that you like to see being played. The old style, take it on, go for it, and have a cut. And they did that. And, great game, one of the best games of the championship, and they're in an All-Ireland semi-final, and they're going to be difficult to beat. But that's a decision. That's a debate for another day. But well done, and they deserved it. Just got over the line, but narrow lines. Who would have thought that you'd see Cormac Costello missing a free? That Con Callan hadn't the chance. How many times has he kicked him over the bar? But the pressure it does happen.
Absolutely. We're going to keep this moving very lively because time is ticking down. It's a quick word on Armagh 6-point win over Roscommon. Would they have been better off maybe facing the Tyrone that Roscommon beat in Healy Park?
Yeah, but Roscommon gave enough it. They threw everything at the kitchen sink at them. And to be fair, look, Armagh seem to be moving through the championship without lighting it up, John. I would say, like Rian O'Neill now yesterday was one of his poorer games. He came off. His brother came on for him. Like we're on about wing backs there. I think it was what's his name? McCambridge, number 5. He got man of the match. He kicked 1-2. So they have a lot of legs. They have you have Gruger, you have Grimley, you have Stephen Campbell coming on, made a massive difference. Defensively they have guys Burns, McKay, McCrane, Faulkner and all these guys, very good footballers, but it depends what way they set up. Mm-hmm. You can have a team of very good footballers, but it depends what way you want them to play, and I'm just hoping that they will come out against Kerry and we'll have a good game of football, and which they can do, but it's going to be something. But yeah, I think Roscommon were probably on, I suppose, bonus territory where they were after their league campaign and everything. But it always looked Armagh were always that little bit better. Roscommon would come back to them, but Armagh was pull ahead again. It was never in doubt really. So, but look, it was nice to see Kieran and the two Kierans actually get to semi-final. I think it's 19 years since they were in an All-Ireland semi-final. They've gone through a lot. They've only been penalty kicks have just knocked them out in the last couple of years. A bit of hard luck. I hope they won't get good luck in the next one either.
Hopefully it's not penalties either.
They're never too far away, so they'll be a danger in the semi-final for us. They have a lot of good players, but it just depends what way they're gonna approach it.
Absolutely. 5:30 on a Saturday, John. It's not the most ideal times, but you're in the semi-final. You'd play it at midnight if you had to.
Well, you'd play it and listen to people today, particularly from down south. It's a huge journey up, coming down late. But look, we'd rather be having that problem than to be talking today about being beaten. Yeah. And you take what you get. If it was Sunday at 4 o'clock, it's another problem. But I think that it's great to be there. We're looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll have 2 good semi-finals, Ivan, and I think we should have. And again, coming back to Armagh there, McGean has been so unlucky, losing how many games in penalty kicks, and they're there, and they'll relish that chance. There's no pressure on them.
Yeah, there's something about them as well to come through that many defeats in penalties. You see, some soccer teams don't come from penalty shootout defeats. To keep coming back every year for more, and the one for more is resilience is definitely stamped on Armagh, and as you say, they'll be a tough one to beat. While we're on the 5:30, of course, Tailteann Cup featuring before Kerry. Good opportunity for Laois and Down in the final as well, and it's a good opportunity to see a decent game of football for Kerry fans as well.
Exactly, yeah. And I suppose the two teams in the National League have been doing well in their divisions as well. Down have been very impressive, all through the thing. Laois, I suppose, with the last couple of years, we've been keeping an eye on them because there's so many Kerry men that were in charge of them, and it didn't go well, but they seem to have found a new kind of a lease of life. And I suppose, but this Tailteann Cup is a good competition as well, because teams find their level. It's like the county leagues in Kerry. Now you find your level, and you'll be competitive at your level. So you can imagine now Laois going into an All-Ireland quarter final or whatever. Like that, you have to build to get to that point. And I think the Tailteann Cup is a way of doing that. But I wouldn't know the thing about. I suppose Meath they won it last year, and we saw what Meath. There's big gaps there now between counties. But that will be a very even match before the Kerry match.
It'll make the M7 fairly lively heading up to both games. John, I suppose with the Tailteann Cup beforehand as well, it gives opportunity for attendance to be a small bit higher maybe in Croke Park. We saw this weekend, I was reading this, I think about 91,000 this weekend over the 2 days, worst ever attendance at quarterfinals since they came in the early 2000s. good chance for Kerry to obviously get up there. I know you probably have to stay on a Saturday night and everything else, but for Armagh, they'll bring a massive crowd down. You'd imagine Laois and Down will bring a good crowd. There should be a decent attendance across both days.
There should be, and there should be a great atmosphere. Armagh are great. They bring great support, great colour, and they're 70 minutes away from an All-Ireland final. That's the way they look at it. I thought the disappointing one of the weekend was the Saturday evening, the attendance with Dublin involved. They were full houses before. 47,000 yesterday.
Dublin would have filled it before.
They would have filled it before. So that's what would. But look, we should have two big crowds, great atmospheres for the semi-finals, and as you said, the Talton, and I think the junior final will be on before the game on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And it's a great day for those counties as well to get out in Croke Park before a big game.
Yeah, I think was it 2 years ago the junior final was before the Kerry semi-final as well, and Kilkenny beat New York in the football final. Right. So my father was a happy man seeing Kerry and Kilkenny both win a football match on the same day in Croke Park. I'd say it never happened before. It probably will never happen again. Right, the final one, we asked the question, all 4 teams remaining in the championship, what was the thing they've all had in common?
I don't know, John. That we're all giving out with the times of the games next week.
They all beat Derry.
They all beat Derry.
Good question. Good question.
Yeah, I wouldn't cop it. The championship structure, we only got 40 seconds. Allowing Derry into a quarter-final with, was it 3 defeats before the quarter-final, 4 after, and 1 draw. There's questions to be asked about that. God be with the days where it was the 4 provincial champions into semi-finals.
Certainly something that could tweak it is to have 2 teams coming out of the group instead of 3.
And
I think,
definitely a quarter final. If you make a quarter final, if you top the group, home quarter final.
Yeah, so. Even I think a lot of people spoke about neutral quarterfinals and take them out of Dublin, especially with Taylor Swift and everything else on in Dublin the weekend. Lads, thanks very much. We're completely out of time, but we'll be chatting a bit more, of course, about Armagh in the coming 2 weeks before that game on Saturday. Thanks very much for coming in. We'll go for news at 7 o'clock.